Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another session of MS Talks. Joining us today, we have Mr. Aloysius Cheang, who is the Cybersecurity Officer of Huawei UAE. Aloysius is currently the Chief Security Officer of Huawei UAE. He is responsible for driving the company's cybersecurity vision of building a safe and secure, intelligent, connected digital world in the UAE and Islamic nations across the world. Aloysius has served in several prominent positions along the span of his 22 years long professional career, including having defined the term cybersecurity. Aloysius has authored the ISO IEC 27032 guidelines for cybersecurity. Welcome on board today, Aloysius. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing fine. Thank you very much, Rika, for having me today.
Thank you for joining us today. I would like to start out by asking, as you represent a global IT company, what is your observation about adoption of digital transformation in the Middle East Africa region and the cybersecurity trends?
Well, that's a very good question, right? So over the past few years, due to the pandemic, it has accelerated the demand for us to quickly digital transform our economy towards the new Industry 4.0 enabled economy, right? So we are moving into the next digital era where data is the new gold, or more specifically for the Middle East region, data is the new oil. So we are very familiar how the oil and gas industry has transformed this region, and the people in this region have learned a lot from the oil and gas experience, where safety and security are the topmost importance in the industry. So likewise, when it comes to cybersecurity, especially when we talk about critical information protection requirement, where telecom services, ICT services are perceived to be critical infrastructure. And towards the end, therefore, a lot of tension has been put together, to bring all the experts together to solve the problem of, how do we manage cybersecurity issues in the middle of all this digital transformation. And this is something that has been the key topic. How do you harness cybersecurity in a cyber pandemic? And that's why we are having the cybersecurity innovation series, where experts from all over the world will come together to discuss how do we run in this beast and ensure that cybersecurity will eventually become a critical business enabler for all of us.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. That was a very interesting take. Moving on, I would like to know what are your learnings, so far, given the fact that Huawei is a very large organization with presence across all countries in this region?
I would say that this is not just pertaining to Huawei, but really any companies, right, that you are, all of us are part of this critical ecosystem that supports the journey towards a digital economy. And the challenges, no matter how big or small, are all part of what we call the Great Wall of cybersecurity that we are all building to protect ourselves against the tsunami of ransomware, as well as all the tsunami of all the advanced, all the advanced attack that we call APT, advanced persistent threat, that are very common today. So these are the challenges that we as a company, no matter how big or small we are, we all face. And cybersecurity is only as strong as the weakest link. And when we talk about that and comparing it or correlating it back to the ecosystem, that means that it can actually start from even the smallest company. And that's what happened in the SolarWind incident, where they do not attack SolarWinds directly, but they attack one of the small companies in the supply chain of providers that provide SolarWinds with their tools and applications. So when we talk about cybersecurity, since security is only as strong as the weakest link, now we have to look at it as a totality, as a supply chain, and that means that no matter how big or small you are, okay, you will always be part of the equation, and because of that, it's no longer size, but really, if you look at it, the whole ecosystems, the whole supply chain that you have constructed and part of it, and we need to ensure that all these extended partners and vendors that are partaking in your businesses are all having a minimum level of cybersecurity management quality and standard that is imbued into the organization. Especially when we talk about the recent pandemic, so a lot of people are actually working from home. Everybody is, until recently, have been really doing our businesses away from the brick and mortar of the company for the past 2 years. So that means that the security controls that any company have to build have to extend beyond the walls of the company. And if we just talk about it from the context of the company, obviously there's a lot of things to cover. But when you talk about it from the context of also including your suppliers as well as your customer, then I think the scope is very big. So what have we learned in a nutshell over the last few years, especially some of the learnings I take away from the pandemic, is that we have to look at the problem in totality. No man is an island. Cybersecurity is a team sport. You need to come together as one to build a globally trusted supply chain. And that's the reason why we are here with the objective to deliver the UAE as a globally trusted digital oasis that all businesses, especially the new businesses that are moving to the metaverse, they are going to partake in the new businesses, starting their journey with cybersecurity ensured right from beginning, as we bake in cybersecurity into the very fabric of the business, making it into an essential cultural aspect of your business. So this is what I have learned over the last few years, and this is what I'd like to share with everyone in this call.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think as the world dissolves and, we all come together closer, the need for cybersecurity has increased tenfold. That was indeed a very interesting takeaway. I would like to move on and ask you, how are you dealing with the acute skill shortage that exists within this region currently?
This is something that is always on the mind of senior management, not only in this region, but really globally, because it has research, especially from IC2, we have shown that there is a global shortage of cybersecurity professionals to the tune of 3 million vacancies, right? So we are in need of 3 million cybersecurity professionals. And if you take it down to the context of the UAE, okay, while we are facing this shortage, but at the same time, we are also trying to pursue amortization. We want to make sure that, we do have a minimum retained workforce, an Emirati workforce that are trained in cybersecurity as well. And if you look at it, right, people, process, and technologies, this is the holy trinity for cybersecurity. if we look at it from any aspects, we always have to talk about these three things. And people is on top of the list, okay? Simply because, okay, people are not only the solution, but they are also the problem. And being the problem, we are not talking about, the people that unintentionally, introduce cybersecurity weaknesses or breach any of the controls in your company. We're also talking about the people that are intentionally doing that. That means the perpetrator with a malicious intent. And lastly, the defender of the crown jewels, the cybersecurity professionals, that have the unavoidable task of trying to protect your goalposts all the time, right? So you can be doing well for 89 minutes of the entire, match. But in the last minute, if your opponent scored that one goal, you are reduced to 0, right? Because you will lose the game. So for us, okay, the defender of the cyber crown jewels, right? You couldn't afford any slip out at any one time. So if you look at that, right, how do we create an effective workforce? Okay, a hybrid workforce that have people that are working remotely, because that is going to be the norm going into the future, and people that will be, on the ground, people that are expatriates, people that are local, and build them, and mesh them together so that they become one effective workforce. Okay, this is a challenge that everybody is, trying to tackle with, and that's where, in the UAE, we have announced a public-private partnership to tackle the problem of capacity building, so that we work with both the industry as well as the academia, whatever stakeholders, that are part of these ecosystems, to come together to identify the needs, and then what are the gaps, and how do we fill up the gap. And that may include, revolutionizing and redeveloping the education structure, especially at the tertiary level, to introduce cybersecurity degree courses, specialized courses that you can train cybersecurity skilled workforce that can join the workforce right from the start. Okay, that will be a challenge, because a lot of people, cybersecurity demands a high level skills, and a lot of time people are looking for cybersecurity professionals that are at least having 2 years of experience to join their team. So this become a paradox that we need to see how we could unravel this paradox. So that's number one. Then number two, how do we get people that are already skilled workforce that want to look at mid-career change? How do we encourage all these mid-career change people to take up cybersecurity? For example, you have people that may be working in certain industry that are maybe not so competitive right now in terms of opportunities in the rat race, right? So maybe you should also see how you could position cybersecurity as an attractive mid-career change, or just to cause people, especially ladies who are currently homemaker, to come out and rejoin the workforce. So that's also another target audience that we need to reach out and to encourage them to join. So from new joinees, people that are bright eye, haven't really experienced the work life before, to people that are experienced mid-career, facing mid-career options. These are the people that we need to get them in. And not to mention that, the existing people that are already on the job, how do we enrich and upskill them even more to make them more relevant? For example, training of them into relevant new skill sets, like in the area of cloud computing, the area of AI, and then how do you look at securing the cloud and securing AI, which again is a very specialized task. So we are looking at it from a totality view, and we come together, public-private organization in a partnership to see how we could close the gap and solve this problem. So this is a challenge that we have to tackle, and a challenge that we hope that once we have overcome it, we can share our experience with the rest of the region, and in fact even the rest of the world, and to, again, like what I mentioned earlier, to develop and establish the UAE as a globally trusted digital oasis. We want to be the world's leading cybersecurity hub.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've mentioned some very interesting points in terms of, capacity building, skill development. And I especially enjoyed your, reference as the Holy Trinity. I think that's the best way to put it. So not taking too much of your time, Aloysius, last but not the least, I know you will be speaking at the Cybersecurity Innovation Series that is taking place on the 6th and the 7th of September. I would like to know, what can the delegates expect to hear from you at the event?
Well, I look forward to be speaking at your esteemed event. I think you have the right audience. And I think this is the right audience that I can discuss something that right now I'm feeling very much, that is an important topic that is tearing my that I have my heart and soul in it, which is really how do we, how can we as a professional, as a cybersecurity professional, how can we do better, right? So every day as we wake up on one side of the bed, and we try to look at, towards the stare into gaze into the crystal ball, what are the things that we actually need to do better as a cybersecurity professional? So there's a lot of takeaway from my long 22 years of career. Okay, what need to be done? And I summarize my experience into a very simple idea, which I think that at the end of the day, despite all the hype, all the new nomenclature that come out that talk about all the things that we may not even understand what it stands to be. Like, for example, what do you understand? What is the metaverse? What does it encompass? So what do you think is a successful or not a successful metaverse? So there's just too many things out there. There's too fluffy, right? So in view of all this fluffiness, I think it is very important that we must always be pragmatic, right? To be practical. And one of the things to be practical is really how do we go back to basics. So how do we go back to basics and then retrace our footstep, and to see how we use all these basic skills, to address the potential problems and challenges that's associated with the new digital era, right? So going to basics means that, we should not forget the roots of where we come from, right? Cybersecurity, no matter how much we have changed and evolved over the years to become a boardroom issue, where cybersecurity today become mainstream, and you're rubbing shoulders with all the head of business in the company. You have to be able to hold on your own when you talk not only to the executive management team, but also to the board, get their buy-in so that they will support the cybersecurity team and support the agenda that the cybersecurity team is trying to push for, especially when it comes down to how do we protect our digital assets, how do we, manage to ensure that we meet whatever compliance out there in the market, that we operate. So there's a lot of talk right now in the market that says that the cybersecurity professionals have to be marketable, right? They have to be soft, they have to be engaging, they have to be smart. They need to be able to talk the business talk in order for business people to like them, to the extent of supporting them in whatever they do. But that, while all that are true, okay, and while all that are something that I would say that part of the package that you take as a cybersecurity professional, you have to be able to communicate the challenges, okay, in a very layman term so that everybody will understand. But at the same time, you mustn't forget that cybersecurity all along has been a technical problem. So you need to be also technically strong, right? You couldn't just talk your way through, right, and hope that the problem will go away. So yes, we like you to have better communication skills. We like you to have better understanding of business, but at the same time, don't forget your fundamentals. And that's why, okay, when we go back to the school, when we talk about training our next generation, earlier I talk about that. I think it's important that we have to make sure that the generation don't look at them, right? The new generation don't look at themselves as, once they are graduated, they will become the next cybersecurity manager. Okay, it's not going to happen just like that. There's going to be a process whereby you're going to be part of a team that will be tasked to undertake, jobs that are technical in nature. You have to roll up your sleeve no matter what. You have to gain the respect. It's almost like you want to be a general, you need to be a soldier first. You have to fight in the trench. You have to be there where the going gets hard, and you will always be there. And that's how you earn the respect of the troops that you command. And you just don't, what we call, a colloquial term, we don't just helicopter you in, and then once you do your parachute jump and you will be leading the fight right at the front. No, there's a lot of fighting as we land on Normandy during World War II to finish World War II. So a lot of sacrifices to be made. And when we talk about going to basics, it's all about understanding and the fundamentals and do all the heavy lifting. And then through that, you understand the demands behind it. Why are we doing that? So that you can actually support business better. I think you will appreciate the problem better only when you touch the technicalities of it. No matter how much people believe in you that you are really the one, you got what it takes to be the next CISO. But every CISO has to start somewhere, right? You just don't helicopter in just like that. And yes, you may be an influencer in today's space. All the youngsters today are talking about being an influencer on the social media in TikTok and Instagram. But no, you can have 100,000, 200,000, or even 1 million troops on the hand. That are you going to tell the CEO that if you don't believe in me, I'm going to unleash my troops on you, so that you will regret the moment that you reject me, and I will unleash my force on you in the social media, and then I'll quit my job. No, that's not going to work.
Right. Thank you for that, Aloysius. I think it was a very interesting little session. And to everyone who's watching today, I would like to tell you that Aloysius will be joining us along with a small team of experts from Huawei. Huawei is our partner for the Cybersecurity Innovation Series. A little bit about Huawei before we leave. Founded in 1987, Huawei is a leading global provider of information and communications technology infrastructure and smart devices. Huawei has over 197,000 employees and operate in over 170 countries, serving more than 3 billion people around the world. So thank you so much for joining us today, Aloysius, and it was a wonderful session. I think everybody will get to hear a lot more from you at the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you.
Thank you.